Hey everyone, welcome to MT Guitar. Today I want to teach you a minor pentatonic sojourn, which will allow you to play up and down the neck at any level, and hopefully to sound good while doing it. This is a very important thing to work on, playing up and down the neck with a single scale, and to actually move away from thinking of it as different positions, although that won't hurt, but it really actually isn't necessary. You can play the minor pentatonic scales, or other scales for that matter, up and down the neck. That will allow you to play more melodically with more slides, maybe more bends and hammer-ons and pull-offs. Whereas if we're in a single vertical position, we have a hard time doing that sometimes. And so it actually can box us in, no pun intended, to the lesson, because we're going to be learning all about boxes and how we can move them up and down. So let's start with a basic position so that we can work from there. If I'm in A minor, a lot of us have learned this position 1. Now, not to downplay this, this is an incredibly powerful position. Every single string of this position is worth exploring. Okay, let's hyper focus on a certain area. Okay, the 4th and 3rd strings of this position, 5th and 7th frets. We're going to notice that I'm only using strong fingers here. Index and ring are the strongest fingers for lead playing. They're the best for bending. Now, as I say that, I'm giggling because I can't really bend this wound G string on an acoustic too much, but I have the easiest time with the ring finger. Let's say I'm up here. You know, I'd have a harder time doing that on another finger. So our strongest fingers are our index and ring. So we notice that on the 4th and 3rd strings, it looks like a box. We have 2 fret distance between the 5th and 7th fret, between the index and ring fingers on both successive strings. So that's something that looks pretty good. We like that. So how do we keep that going? Well, let's start by going down. If I notice that, where am I in the scale? This is the root. This is an A note. So this is the 1, right? Now, if some of this goes over your head, don't worry. You can still apply this technique without thinking of the scale degrees. So not to worry. You'll have to memorize the pattern, which is fine. Here's an A bass note, and here's an octave of that A. So here we have the root or the A note on the ring finger. Okay, this is a great area to really dig into and get some riffs out of. And my first teacher, Keith Allen, would encourage me to really mine for this area, mine for riffs, mine for gold. Just these 4 notes. Find some riffs, find some blues riffs this week. Okay? Try some bending, some hammer-ons, pull-offs, and vibrato, and etc. Okay? Now, we want that to be able to be done anywhere. So by going here, we want to analyze what these notes are. Flat 7 to 1, flat 3 to 4. All right? So as I go 1 to flat 7, I want to now notice that as I go down here, looks like the box is continuing, but as we know from the position, it eventually won't. So I want to slide that 5 down to the 4. Now all of a sudden, does this look familiar? Got a flat 7, 1, flat 3, 4. The 4 is an entryway into the 5 as a slide, which brings me to my next box. Now, you notice I'm sort of bending that 4. That's because above that 4 is this delicious flat 5 blues note. Even on acoustic, I can reach it. Can't really reach the 5, which on electric we could, but on that wound G you can't really, right? So I'm always bending that, not always, but a lot of times. But I can slide up to the 5 here. Now, under my logic here, we should just be able to go the next string, right? Well, we clearly know that's not the scale. So what happens in the B string is everything gets dragged up a fret in terms of the patterns. So I have to go up, literally with my index finger, squeeze it in on the 8th and 10th fret. But does this look familiar? I've got another box here. Flat 7 to 1, flat 3 to 4. And again, I can bend that 4 to the 5 or to the flat 5. Now, it's a little tricky going down. 1, flat 7, 5 has to be squeezed in with the ring. Slide down to the 4. New box. Again, flat 7, 5. Squeeze down to the 4. Not squeeze down, just slide down to the 4. Flat 7, flat 3, 1. So we're going from the 3rd fret, sliding up to the 7th fret, sliding up to the 10th fret, sliding up to the 12th fret. So we went from the 3rd fret to 12th fret using this box, following the box on a sojourn. A sojourn means we're having a temporary stay at a spot. We're not there for a long time. So it's a stop along the way, sojourn, right? Moving up. And I get a pattern that is dependable and repeatable. Now when I get up to the 12th fret here, there's no more strings to create a new box. So, doesn't keep going forever, right? We have limitations in the guitar. So, we are really diving into this. This is a movable position, meaning as long as I find a bass note on my ring finger, I'll be in that minor pentatonic scale. So if I want to do it up to B, a good minor pentatonic scale to know, I just do the same thing up 2 frets. Only using my strong fingers, my index and ring finger. Now, eventually you'll get tired of that sound because it has its limitations, but the point is that no one scale or technique will be the end-all be-all. It's just another color in your toolbox, in your toolkit to use. And so, not to down or downplay at all positional playing, right? If I'm just in a position, that's great. But this is just another way to do it. Only using the box is a sound. Now this applies for all boxes. Let's say I want to do the BB box. All right, let's go back to A. Well, the BB box is a little bit different than this. The BB box says we want the root on the index. Remember that all of these have had the box with the root on the ring finger. But now, the BB box is basically this. And what the BB box has in terms of pros or advantages is the ability to play major pentatonic with minor pentatonic very easily. So I can major pentatonic or minor pentatonic. But this note right here, this lead up note, 11th fret 3rd string, is part of the major pentatonic. So this is more of a major box. Same thing applies here. I can go down to the BB box on a lower set of strings. Don't really have the same bending power, even on electric here, but I can still do the similar sort of patterns, sliding up 2 to 3. So the box thing works regardless if it's the box I just showed you, which is like the main pentatonic box for minor, or the BB box, which is a bit more major. And this will allow you to instantly move up and down the neck as long as you memorize this pattern and find a bass note either on the index, 2 to 3 slide, or what I started with is just ring finger on the root, 4 to 5 slide. It almost seems too easy, right? So this is just one pathway to go. I'll have an exercise, sort of a study guide on the Patreon at patreon.com/mtguitar at the $5 level. Thanks for checking that out. And before we sign off though, what if you're on a different string? I meant to say that earlier. All right, let's say you're in E minor, or let's say you go to an E minor chord and you want to play, or E blues, whatever. Well, we don't want to have to start the box way up here all the time, right? And we can't go lower than the low E string. So we need to find something else. So let's find an E root note on the 5th string, all right? Now the box concept is the same, but the pattern will look different because of the B string tuning. So here I have a root note on the ring finger, flat 7 below, 5 slides down to 4, and I don't have room for a box below it, but I can just kind of do a low E bass if I want to. So we want to move up now. Flat 3, 4, and we know 4 is our ticket, right? We can bend it, we can also slide it up to the 5. New box. Now, same problem here. I'm going to shock our ears. a little bit. We know that sounds nice. Actually, it's major, but it's not minor. So we have to add that fret on the B string. So it doesn't quite look like a box, or it looks like more of a, what is it, a parallelogram, or some sort of shape that is angled. We have to squeeze that index up a fret to maintain the integrity of the box, so to speak. Okay, now on the 4, slides up to 5. We only get half the box here, flat 7 to 1. Surely it works great though. Here's 3rd fret all the way up to 7th fret, 9th fret, 12th fret. Now you'll notice that once I get to 12th fret, if I just want to go up a little further, it's position 1, which is where we started the lesson. Now that is movable anywhere as well. So if I want to go to F or G or A. Now this is interesting because A is where we started with the other box. So we can now connect these 2 box patterns together with this one. Now I can play A all up and down because of these 2 box patterns. So, nice little sojourn through the minor pentatonic to get us playing up and down the neck. Do check out the Patreon. Remember to subscribe and check out some other videos on the channel. Hope this helps put on a backing track and really go exploring through these scales and find some nice phrases that you like, and just sort of try to connect all these boxes and shapes together and enjoy. That's the key. Make sure you're enjoying what you're doing so that the learning will occur more quickly and more effectively. All right, I think that does it. Have a great day, everyone. We'll see you next time. Bye.